Okay, in my last video, I talked about some of the people that were brought in for the Bills on the offensive side of the ball. Today, I'd like to talk about some of the players that were brought in on the defensive side of the ball. Starting off with linebacker Nicholas Morrow. I really feel like he is replacing Tyrel Dodson as a backup linebacker to come in and hopefully just give one of our linebackers, Dodson or Milano, a breather and not coming in because of an injury, hopefully. So Nicholas Morrow comes to the team as Tyrel Dodson leaves the team and goes elsewhere. Casey Toohill, defensive end coming from Washington. And we knew when Leonard Floyd left, we would need to add at least another defensive end. I do not think Toohill's going to put up the numbers that Leonard Floyd did, because Leonard had over 10 sacks last year. Maybe Casey's going to bring us more what Shaq Lawson brought to the team, although I really do hope that the Bills still sign Shaq Lawson. I think Shaq Lawson is a fantastic player, and he's one heck of a nice guy too. So hopefully he comes back to the team. Although I do think Toohill is an up-and-coming player that could really help the defensive line in a rotation system, which is what they like to use. So Mike Edwards comes in at safety. I believe Mike Edwards is going to be replacing Micah Hyde, although I also hope that they still bring back Micah Hyde. Micah Hyde, what a great guy. I hope that they can bring back Micah Hyde. But he can also, Edwards can also play the Jordan Poyer type style, as Jordan has gone on to the Fish. And we hope that Micah can still come back with the Bills again. But I think Mike Edwards is a good safety. He's a bit of a ball hawk, so hopefully we can get some turnovers out of our safeties this year with Mike Edwards. Austin Johnson coming in a defensive tackle. I feel like he's replacing Tim Settle. As Tim went elsewhere in free agency. Austin Johnson, a big-time player with Daquan Jones here. He played with him at Penn State and at Tennessee. Looking forward to seeing how those two guys come together again to play on the same team again and some of the things that they can bring together on the interior of our defensive line. I do think that this is a great signing to bring in Austin Johnson. They also, talking about the defensive tackle on the inside of our defensive line, the Bills also signed Deshaun Williams. Deshaun may be a bit of a replacement for Jordan Phillips. You know, I personally hope that Jordan Phillips will sign as well. So I do hope that Shaq Lawson, Micah Hyde, and Jordan Phillips still all sign with the Bills. They're still all free agents as well this year. I love all three of those guys. I think they're all fantastic players and human beings. So hopefully they'll all come back to the team. But Deshaun, we needed some depth on the defensive line in the interiors. So I think Deshaun Williams will bring that to our team. And hopefully we'll bring even more. So those are the defensive replacements the Bills have made up to this point in free agency or in the offseason. The draft, of course, is coming up, and now that free agency is slowing down a little bit, or really has slowed down, and we may not sign anyone until after the draft here. Again, just thought it was good to make this video. Let's hope that they can still fill some holes in the draft, because the defense get better in the offseason so far, just like the offense, where I thought the loss of Mitch Morris really hurt our offense. I think that the loss of our safeties really hurts our defense. You know, last year I felt like we had three safeties that were all really good. Now we have two. So we need a third. I was really hoping that the Bills would still sign a third safety. Why not make it Micah and bring him back? Of course, Micah's got that neck injury, so maybe more on his side than the Bills' side on whether he's able to play for the Bills next year. There's also a couple of other safeties out there that could be added before the draft, or maybe there's a few really good ones in the draft. But we'll talk about the draft at a later time. But I don't feel like our defense has gotten better. I think the loss of Leonard Floyd, giving us those 10.5 sacks that he had last year, the loss of our safeties is really hurts us. I mean, Mike and Jordan were playing together for so long. That was the key to how well that they played, is how they were playing together on the back end of our defense. So it's going to be hard to think that, Mike Edwards and Taylor Rapp are going to be able to provide that continuity, because there's just no way they are. I mean, played together for several years, Mike and Jordan. So anyway, I do again hope that they can bring in another safety and another defensive end pass rusher. I feel like they've done some good things at the defensive tackle position. They may still bring in someone else, but Oliver Jones and Austin Johnson up the middle is a pretty good defensive tackle unit alone. So, but we'll see here. And corner, I mean, you can't replace Tre'Davious White. He's just that good of a corner. So we may need to bring in another corner as well. But at this point, it may just be through the draft. So defensive end, corner, safety, and I personally would really like to have a third linebacker. I don't want to get to the playoffs with linebackers. Linebackers take so many collisions during the season. They lead the team in tackles usually, and they're involved in the collision just like the running back or the wide receiver that they're tackling. So it's inevitable if through the course of a season that a linebacker may get injured with that many collisions. And if the Bills felt that in the playoffs last year when they had to go way down and get somebody off the couch to play, and I'm glad he was able to come in and play, but the loss of Milano and Dotson for the playoff games last year really hurt us against the Chiefs. So I would like us to have another linebacker that's good as well. But wouldn't every team like to have a lot of depth at every position? Of course they would. So we'll see what the Bills are still able to do. And with that, I remind you, go Bills! And God